Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for this month's Worksoft webinar, Automated End-to-End Test Orchestration and Execution with Solution Manager and SAP Cloud ALM. I'm Austin Chandler, Senior Content Manager at Worksoft and your host for today's webinar. We'll answer a few questions at the end of our presentation. Please use the questions feature to submit a question. If we don't get to yours due to time constraints, we'll send you a reply via email. In today's presentation, Worksoft Principal Solution Engineer Brian Albertelli and VP of Engineering Brian Smith will discuss the benefits of Solution Manager and Cloud ALM for customers and show how our test automation capabilities comprehensively support your organization's SAP landscape. Today's presentation will be recorded, and a link to the on-demand session will be available for those who are unable to attend or those who wish to share or review the information. Due to a large number of participants, lines will be muted. Now I'll go ahead and turn things over to Brian and Brian.
Sure. Brian Albertelli, do you want to go ahead and give a brief introduction for yourself, and then I'll do the same and we'll get into the presentation.
Certainly. Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Albertelli. I'm a Principal Solution Engineer here at Worksoft. I've been helping customers and companies and organizations become successful in the no-code automation space since 2015. And yeah, happy to be here. Looking forward to the presentation. To you, Brian.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Brian Smith. I'm in charge of research and development here at Worksoft. I've been with the company for not quite 20 years. That's coming up here in the next couple of months. When I joined the company, I started as a developer and helped to build some of the products that we still sell today, like Certify. But at some point, everyone decided I should not be touching code anymore. Next slide, please. So today we're going to be talking about Solution Manager and SAP Cloud ALM. I'll kick off by discussing a little bit the Worksoft and SAP relationship that we've had now for a number of years, and at the end we'll dive into Worksoft's connective automation platform. Everybody likes a good NASCAR slide. There are a lot of our customer names up here that you recognize. Some of them are the biggest in the world: Walmart, Apple, Shell, Lufthansa, others. One thing that they all have in common is that they use SAP, and they chose us because we're the gold standard for SAP automation. One of the most important customers that we see up here is SAP. As you know, SAP runs on SAP. They use their own software internally to run their business. And of course, they also use a number of non-SAP applications like Microsoft Office. As part of a broader agile transformation effort within SAP IT, their challenge was to find a code-free solution to automate the apps they use. They could have chosen any automation vendor, and they placed their trust in Worksoft because they knew our solution met their needs. We're deep experts in SAP automation. Our roots in custom software testing meant that we could automate things outside of SAP, and we have a deep integration with Solution Manager, which is their system of record. You can see some of the benefits that they achieved with us, including time saved, reduced cost, faster execution, and better collaboration between teams. We're proud to partner with SAP, and we've been doing it for more than 16 years. In fact, we have certified integrations with SAP ALM solutions longer than any other vendor. Our first certification was BC Test GUI, which demonstrated our ability to automate SAP GUI and really is the beginning of our journey with SAP. Our next certification was BC ECAT. For this, we worked with the ICC and Marcus Dinkel from the ECAT development team. Some of you might still be using ECAT scripting to build automation for SAP GUI. After that, we were certified against SMT-STR and Solution Manager 7.1. And this was a joint development effort with Worksoft and SAP. We worked with Helen Kushakovska in the Solman development team. Helen and team were building the SAP side of the integration. Worksoft was building out the test tool side, and the integration certification center team was defining the test that we had to pass. It was new for all of us, and Worksoft was the first company to complete this certification. We re-upped that certification in 2015. In 2018, we built out our testing. We certified against Solution Manager 7.2, and we re-upped that again in 2021. These are generally 3-year certifications, so we're very likely to renew that certification for Solution Manager here again next year. In more recent developments, we built our integration with Cloud ALM in 2022 and showcased that at conferences in the US and Europe last year. The Cloud ALM team tells us that they plan to work on a certification, formal certification with ICC. And once that's available, we'll pursue that as well. In 2023, we again worked with SAP to develop a joint solution. This allows test packages to be synchronized to third-party test tools. Test tools can run those tests and generate results, and we can push those in from the outside into Solution Manager asynchronously. You no longer have to run the test starting from within Solution Manager. Now you can run the test independently and push results in from the outside. And execution status then goes on to the right test case in the test package. Today, we're here to talk about Solution Manager and Cloud ALM and our integrations with those. Some of you may have started the move to SAP Cloud ALM, but I assume most of you are squarely in the Solution Manager camp until Cloud ALM reaches feature parity. Worksoft's connective automation platform is integrated with both. Unlike other vendors, we don't have multiple solutions. We have a single solution integrated for both on-premise, cloud, or hybrid deployments. At the highest level, our connective automation platform provides intelligent test automation, helping you to discover and understand your business process so you know what to automate, and it helps you to build and run that automation at scale. We're going to dig into each of these in the next several slides. The first one we'll take a look at is SAP Solution Manager and our integration. If you could move, there you go, thank you. Here we integrate with the test suite of Solution Manager 7.2, and this is a comprehensive test solution fitting the needs of most SAP customers. Test suite includes capabilities for manual and automated testing, change impact analysis, maintenance of tests, test scope planning and optimization, test planning for user acceptance testing, functional integration tests, and much more. We integrate with this framework through well-defined APIs. You can see on the bottom right-hand side, and this is where certification testing is performed. We have several touch points with Solution Manager 7.2 Test Suite. Worksoft end-to-end scripts can test native SAP GUI, Fiori, S4 applications, web applications, Office, and a broad range of other technologies and legacy systems. We're linked into the test scripts and the test configuration level. Worksoft supports passing of test data and test data variants from data containers. Customers that are going the extra mile and using Solution Manager to build and BPCA to build out T-bombs, we can participate in that process to help build out those T-bombs dynamically. And Worksoft tests are versioned and support promoting between 3 tiers when you manage those tests from Solution Manager. Again, Solution Manager is a system of record, so we store results there at the end of execution. So this screen should, or these screenshots should look familiar to people who are using Solution Manager for testing today. Solution documentation with links to tests, test data containers and variants, test plans, test packages, and of course, in our case, Certify sitting on top of all of this, so to build, run, test, and to show results. And this is our conventional Solution Manager integration that we've had for years. As I mentioned a few slides back, a recent co-development with SAP is the ability to synchronize test packages with Certify. So Certify can know about the test packages that have been created in Solution Manager. With this knowledge, we can now run all the tests for a test package from within Certify and push results back into Solman. This required development effort on both sides and was released by Worksoft earlier this year. We did this development specifically for SAP IT's internal use. Again, they're a major customer of ours, but now all customers can benefit from it. And it's just another example of how closely we work with SAP. This change was a building block for another change that's coming in 2024. We'll extend awareness of test packages to our CTM product, which is used to run tests at a very large scale. With this new change in 2024, CTM will be able to tell Certify to run tests for a test package. You'll be able to schedule those, run them overnight, and then push results back into Solman. As we know, scheduling tests for overnight execution in Solution Manager really is a quite painful exercise. And so this change in CTM will solve that long-standing pain point, but still allow Solution Manager to be the system of record. And with this, we're going to go to a demo of some of the things I just talked about, and I'm going to turn this over to Brian to take us through that.
Thanks, Brian. And so we got a quick demonstration here. And the first thing I want to do is tell you what I'm about to show you. So the couple of major steps that are involved in this integration are first within Solman is creating the test plan and the package. Once that test plan and packages are set up, a synchronization occurs, and then it allows us to release that test for execution. The test then runs, and then upon completion, reports those results back into Solman as well. So let's take a look. In the first part of the Solution Manager demonstration, we begin by creating a test case, and our plan is to sync that test case back and forth between Worksoft bidirectionally. So by selecting the tool of Worksoft here, that triggers that this test case is desired for automation. We see that Worksoft has been triggered as a part of that automation, and it is creating that connection back and forth between Solution Manager and Worksoft. That test package, that test case, the details that are needed, and we're presented with the confirmation that the test sync has been complete. The second step of the process is to now link or release that test that we created for execution. So what we do from within Solution Manager is navigate to the test case that we had created before, and we want to first update the status, saying that it is released for testing. On save, that brings us into Worksoft, where we can trigger that test execution. And what we'll do as a part of the demonstration is watch that automation in action. A key part of Worksoft's approach is that we're designed for automating any application. The goal of this demonstration is to show that we work with web applications such as Salesforce, even custom apps, and then also we work with all of the SAP stack as well. Whether your operation is working on the web version, the Fiori, the web GUI components within SAP, or just as easily, we can create automation on the GUI as well. All of this to say that the automation that you have already developed within Worksoft can be triggered from Solman so that we have that seamless ability to manage automated tests within a central environment. Upon completion of the test, the results get pushed back into Solution Manager. For this last section, we're going to take a look at those results within Solution Manager. We see here down below that the test case have been synced and that we have a green light showing that this test was completed successfully. For additional details, it's a one-click operation to drill down and understand the details of that executed test. Ultimately, what we did is we created that test plan and package within Solman. We then released that test for execution within Worksoft, and then very easily those results then come back into Solman, as well as being able to view them in Worksoft so that you have that end-to-end integration with Solman and Worksoft.
Thank you for that, and sorry about the hiccup there. Fortunately, though, you captured all the visuals, so you could see test plans, test packages, synchronizing those with certify, and execution results going back. So that's great. Thank you. Next, we're going to talk about our integration with SAP Cloud ALM. As you know, Solution Manager is used for application lifecycle management. It's typically deployed on premise where it may be customized, and I'm sure you've grown to know and love it. On the other hand, SAP Cloud ALM is a cloud-native solution provided by SAP. It's also used for application lifecycle management for cloud-centric customers. It provides capabilities for implementation and operation of SAP and non-SAP cloud solutions. Long-term, SAP Cloud ALM is expected to be the replacement for Solution Manager, but it's still not reached feature parity, which is slowing its adoption. SAP Cloud ALM has capabilities for defining test scope, manual and automated testing, managing test results, defect management, requirements management, and traceability. SAP Cloud ALM integrates with our connective automation platform through well-defined APIs. Actions that exist on that API, the ability to define a test scope, create test cases, use get test data variants, execute tests, see test progress, and to get execution history. And you can see here that this is likely to be the API boundary where a new certification test would be defined and that we would subscribe to. On the Worksoft side, incoming requests pass through an integration gateway not shown in this picture. That integration gateway routes incoming API calls to either CTM or to certify. API calls related to test case creation, data management, all those get routed to certify. Calls that are related to test execution, progress, get routed to CTM. During execution, CTM delegates work to agent machines where certify is installed. And certify is used ultimately to perform the actual test running against any systems in the landscape or desktop applications. Finally, results get returned back to through CTM and the gateway back into Cloud ALM where they get recorded. And let's take a look at some of this in action as well, this integration. And hopefully Brian's mic holds up better this time.
Yeah, if you do lose me, please chime in because I am speaking pretty much the whole time through this demonstration.
We hear you.
Excellent. So just like before we get into this, I want to identify a couple of the key points of the demonstration in which we're going to cover. Similarly to Solman, we follow three major steps. First is within ALM, you create the scope and of what you're trying to test, and that triggers a sync with Worksoft. Once that sync is done, you then have the ability to trigger the execution, which in turn then pushes the results back into Cloud ALM as well. Also viewable within the Continuous Testing Manager product as well. This demonstration will cover the integration between Worksoft and SAP Cloud ALM. The first step of that process is to create a scope within Cloud ALM. By selecting the different solution scenarios and test cases that you are looking to cover as a part of this integration, that allows us to trigger the integration between Cloud ALM and Worksoft. Once that first step is done, we can see that a new area is created for bidirectional work between Cloud ALM and Worksoft. And the idea is when we have tests that are done or executed within that folder, those details are bidirectionally synced back to Cloud ALM for centralized management. See down below that it said the test case is synchronized and that create sales order test is available to execute. By drilling into the details on the Cloud ALM side, you're able to see those tests over there as well. Our next step is to trigger the execution from within Cloud ALM. By setting the status to prepared, allows us to trigger that test, and we also will know that it is ready for execution. Once our changes are saved, we then navigate to the work area, the test execution work area, where we have the ability to see which tests are ready to be executed. Here, that same create sales order test is available and ready to execute. Upon execution, that triggers the communication to Worksoft's continuous testing manager to run those tests remotely. As we see here, the test that we had asked to be executed is currently running, and one of the standard features within Worksoft CTM is that ability to spy on that executing agent. In this particular example, we'll take a look at a single test being executed here as well. If you were to trigger multiple tests to start, you have that ability to view those tests side by side as well. And what I mean by that is have two spy windows happening at the same time. We illustrate this as a part of our demonstration to show that Worksoft has a strong capability to scale. We can run numerous tests in parallel, allowing us to get a lot of work done in a very small period of time. Upon completion of these tests, those results will get posted back into SAP Cloud ALM. As we see here, the test is now shown as passed, and we have the ability to drill down into those details. That allows us to, from one centralized place, manage all of our tests. We can quickly see why a test is passed or even why a test has failed, and it allows us to very easily take action so that we can minimize defects as we move functionality from test to production, ensuring a flawless and seamless user and customer experience while using our end products.
This is what we just showcased, right? Creating a scope and synchronizing, running executions, being able to spy on those executions while they're running under CTM, and getting results back into Cloud ALM where they are stored long-term as a system of record and they can be viewed. And I think now we're going to drill into our...
Mike, am I back?
You are back.
Sorry to cut you off, Brian.
Good.
Okay. Maybe it's the internet. I don't know. The only things running on my computer are PowerPoint and the webinar. So thanks again for your patience. Well, the last bit of what we want to cover here is the details on the connective automation platform. And ultimately, our solution has evolved quite a bit beyond just the core focus of automation. And I thought it made sense, given the audience, to take some time to explain the challenge that we addressed in order to improve on our ability to uncover and discover different automation opportunities. That challenge is about visibility into a process. And if you think about it, say we're about to begin a new implementation of a different product, a new process within SAP. You usually start with, in general, the happy path, right? The key activities, they're very orderly, and this is how you want a business to operate. I used to be an accountant, and this is what we always strive for, is a true efficient process. And when you're working like on something like order to cash, for example, when we implement the process, we still have this clear idea of this is the way that it should go. But then once you go live, it's like, wham, all of a sudden you have all of this complexity that works its way in. And then the real process and the real scope of what needs to be tested reveals itself. And it's often bigger than we feel like, often bigger than we thought it was going to be, because ultimately you want to test the same exact way, the way that your users are using the system. So what we do is now make it easy to uncover all of the different opportunities amidst it feeling often like a mess. So what do we do as an organization, as a project team? How do we handle this complexity? How do we transform, and how do we try to optimize efficiency all at the same time? And ultimately, what we do is we use technology, things like task mining solutions that capture steps the users are taking in order to complete a process. It gives us that opportunity to understand how our users actually use the system and how they share that with us. Compared to a process mining solution, which is mining the event logs of the system, how the system sees those processes being executed. We also, before we push new features into production, we use test automation solutions to ensure that these production processes will be functioning prior to go live, ultimately with the goal of a high quality employee experience or customer experience, as well as trying to manage defects, minimize defects. And then once we have processes running in production, oftentimes companies will use this production automation or an RPA-like approach to save the user's time, right? If we can replace those tedious manual and repetitive tasks that we're doing in production with automation, we create benefit. And all of these solutions independently do deliver insights and visibility into these processes, but each one also has weaknesses. And just to hit these quickly, task mining, coming from being shared by the users, doesn't see the system side of the process. And process mining doesn't really see the user side because we're relying on what the system is telling us. And test automation doesn't really have any visibility into production. And production automation can't see well enough into pre-production or dev or test environments to know if something that changes in the next release is going to break the production automation. But imagine, what if we could take these different commonalities between these different process solutions and bring them all together, ultimately to eliminate the silos into these one holistic process view. And we make it super simple and easy. This is our real goal here, make it easy and simple to identify our scope of what we need to test. This blended set of data will lead to all sorts of goodies like coverage, being able to track numerical value associated with our efforts, and optimization opportunities, and roadmap, and what might we want to automate next. And those four different functionalities, these different separate products typically, become the cornerstones of Worksoft's roadmap and innovation strategy. And ultimately, what we've created to solve for this problem is a place for all of this information to go, and what we call process intelligence. And what it gives us is process understanding. And it's important to know that you don't need all four of these solutions. Any one of them can help us better identify our test scope so that we can more efficiently cover all of the different variations from a test automation perspective. And the good news is that process intelligence is seamlessly integrated with what we've been providing for years on the certified automation side, so that we can leverage those same steps that we captured, turn them into the shareable automation components, and run them continuously. So in summary, how do we solve for the visibility challenge? We make it easy to understand process by centralizing intelligence in a visual way. So maybe you're on the phone and you're already a Worksoft customer. Well, do you have to start with process capture? No, you probably already have automations today. We can ingest those automations into process intelligence and paint a map so we can understand what other automation opportunities exist out there. Maybe you're coming to this webinar and you're just a process mining customer, trying to understand how might I use this data that we have to more efficiently test my processes. Well, what we can do is we can scrape off a bit of data from process mining, pull it into process intelligence, and use that as our roadmap of what we need to go after to understand the details to create those automated tests. And then maybe you're new to Worksoft, right? You're coming at it and you don't have process mining, you've never done automation before. How do I get started? Well, you can build up a process intelligence map that serves as your coverage map and your roadmap towards automation by way of capture. And for today, we have one more demonstration to show you. What we're going to do is hop into the seat of some of the new folks, so that option 3. And what we're going to do is the real key and the secret to getting started from manual testing to automated testing. The way that we do that is with our capture first approach. And capture is a very lightweight, easy to use tool that's non-invasive. It's something a user turns off and turns on. Ultimately, the only change you'd have to make in a project is the next time you guys are going to do some manual testing, you're just going to ask your users to turn capture on. And because they do that, we're going to get these three distinct outputs. We're going to get automated steps that we can use as a part of automation. We're going to get step-by-step documentation, which is often used as an automator's aid. Training documentation, or often even for compliance of those processes. And then lastly, we're going to get understanding by way of process intelligence. And effectively in the project, what we do is we take capture and we put it in the hands of different users in different scenarios. They could even be using it on a production system. And by doing so, it allows us to crowdsource this information, making it easy to understand before we pick what exactly we should automate. So now let's take a look at capture and see it in action.
So you can see capture on the left, where we've turned it on. You can see on the right-hand side the application that we're trying to interact with. I think in this case, we're creating an order, right? Order type, sales org, distribution channel. And what you notice on the left-hand side, we see step-by-step details as the user's interacting with the application. We're taking screenshots of the windows the user's interacting with, screenshots of the individual controls. We're collecting the data that's being used as well. And again, I think you can see all of this over on the left-hand side. I think here pretty soon we'll come to the end of being able to create an order. Some of the features that exist in Capture allow you to reorder steps, to edit steps, to change data, so that ultimately a user that's contributing to business process understanding has the ability to make sure that it reflects what they need to, taking additional screenshots, adding in additional comments that describe what they're doing, maybe even providing guidance on you need to look at this value, do a visual verification over here for something on the screen that cannot be captured. Here we were taking a screenshot on the left-hand side. Now I think we're adding a comment to the overall flow. And again, the comment and extra screenshots can be added any place that you would like in the overall flow of the test that's being captured. In this case, we're also turning on a feature we call Live Touch. It allows a user to point at and collect data from fields that you're not interacting with. So the net value field where you're verifying a value, or the status bar where you're confirming that the order has been saved. Again, not things that you would interact with, but things that you would look at and verify visually. I think we've now turned off capture in the demo that we're watching, but no, I think that we're now shifting over and we're interacting with SAP GUI. So capture is multimodal. It can detect that kind of underlying application that you're interacting with and capture steps, record steps against those different technologies, different user interfaces. In this case, we've moved from a Fiori front end to SAP GUI. Finally, it looks like we're saving that capture. Probably have uploaded it here into Process Intelligence. And you can see kind of the overall flow that would normally be captured, including creating standard order and items and invoicing, right? In this case, we're generating a document from this. We can generate both PDF and Word documents. At the top of this, you can, it's a template-based system, so you can influence how the document appears. At the top, we see an overall flow of the process that we've captured. And we can see again, step by step with screenshots at the window level and at the object level, with the data values that are being used. And maybe most importantly, English language narratives that describe what's happening in the step itself, right? So that we can see step by step. And again, this kind of documentation can be used for multiple purposes. It can be used as an aid in building automation. It can be used for training purposes, right? I think that brings us back to capture, right? Maybe you're back, Brian.
Am I back now? I think I figured out that the video is taking over my mic, which didn't happen when we did our practice run.
That's right.
But thanks for filling in, Brian. I think you nailed the description and took the words right out of my mouth. But exactly what we just went through are the benefits of capture, right? By just going through that process one more time, regardless of the SAP instance that you're doing, right? You can go back and forth between the web and the GUI without having to turn it off, right? But all you have to do is just go through that process one more time. And in the mindset of somebody trying to move towards an automated testing approach, that's the only change that you have to make as a part of your project plan in order to take a big step forward, a small step tactically that results in a big step strategically. By just going through capture one more time and putting capture in the hands of those business users, you get to crowdsource those automation opportunities, generate that documentation very seamlessly and easily to use as an automator's aid or as a part of the training record. And then also you can crowdsource those in the functional understanding by way of process intelligence. And you get all of those benefits by just taking the capture first approach. So in conclusion, hopefully you saw something that you liked today, whether it be in the cloud ALM side of the house, the solution manager, Soulman side of the house, or something about the connective automation platform that has caught your eye. And we'd love to have the opportunity to show you some more and maybe help you solve a challenge or a problem. So in conclusion and signing off, thank you for the time. This is the full view of our automation platform, and please feel free to reach out to us.
Thanks, Brian and Brian, and thanks everyone for joining us this morning for the webinar. We hope you gained some useful insights, like Brian said, to apply to your organization's automation strategies. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you'd like to work with us. And a link to the recording will be sent within the next business day if you'd like to look over some of these videos and stuff and this presentation. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.